And you see the transition is that it's extending this topic and it's talking about microbursts and their relationship to the downdraft. And so you'll see some of the key words: microbursts, microburst, and on throughout. And so that's the pattern: topic, sentence, support, transition, support, topic, sentence, transition, support, things like that. So again, like I said, I'll make sure and have that available for you so you can take a look at that and read that, I guess, a little bit more on your own. So if you have these three things: an effective transition, clear topical focus, coherent development, and the support and everything, you will have a good, cohesive, coherent paragraph. So to revise paragraphs, the number one best thing to do, let's try some enumeration here. To revise paragraphs, revise these kinds of paragraphs, the first thing you need to do is rewrite the main sentence. The main sentence, and again, it does not have to be the first sentence in a paragraph. It could be the last sentence. It could be somewhere in the middle. It does not necessarily have to be the first sentence in a paragraph. Depending on the complexity of the thing that you're writing about, it might help that it's the first sentence, but not always, not always. So you want to rewrite the main sentence so that it clearly establishes the main idea. I'm not going to use the word main, I'm going to use the key idea. Once this sentence is in place, you'll have a concept under which you can line up all of your supporting material. So when you are revising, these are the two things that you need to consider when you're doing that. One, look at your main sentence. If it does not clearly establish the key idea that you want for this paragraph, you need to rewrite it. And then, after you have rewritten that main sentence, then start looking at your supporting material and making sure that you're lining up to focus on that key idea, whatever that key idea, relationship, whatever it is that you want to do. For example, let's take a look at this paragraph. I'm just going to copy and paste this one over. Alright, let's italicize this. That's a little bit different looking. There we go. The main operating cost is hydraulic oil replacement. GR30 oil costs $18.60K per total plant charge compared to XR10 223, which is $780K. Oil life has a major impact on the overall economics. Preliminary economics were based on a 1-year nickel life, while XR1023 has historically seen a 2-year life in the various units of the plant. The shorter life was taken generally to be due to lack of experience and the possibility that chlorine in the hydraulic system may accelerate the degradation of GR30. This is a weak paragraph. Weak paragraph. In this draft, we see some of the common problems in the paragraph sentence and word choice. The paragraph is just not coherent. The first sentence has, no mention of the main subject. The main subject is which catalyst replacement is being considered. There's no mention of that in the first sentence, or really any kind of main sentence that sticks out to the reader. So by not focusing the paragraph, the authors, they have left the readers to struggle with a series of statements that don't seem related together at all. The first three sentences, they just don't delineate any kind of clear idea. And then in the fourth sentence, the author begins with preliminary economics without really ever establishing what that means. Preliminary economics? Some of the sentences are really weak. In that fourth sentence, the subject of that first clause, preliminary economics, it has no clear parallel with the subject of the second clause. Preliminary subject economics were based on a 1-year nickel life. Well, what does preliminary economics have to do with XR1023 seeing a 2-year life in various units of the plant? They're unrelated. There's no parallel. There's no parallelism within that sentence. And then they make this problem. They make the problem worse by shifting oil terminology, GR30, to nickel, oil and nickel, and without, again, explaining what that relationship is. There's a lot of vague word usage in this paragraph. It's like, overall economics, preliminary economics, like I said earlier, they're undefined. Phrases like the shorter life and the lack of experience, again, they're not really attached to any clear subject. The shorter life of what? The lack of experience, whose lack of experience? So to help make this paragraph a little more coherent, here's my hydraulic oil costs in life largely determine the economics of the hydro plant because its main operating cost is oil replacement. GR30 and XR1023, the two oils we're considering, cost 1860K and 780K respectively per total plant charge. On the basis of 9 months of plant use, we estimate that GR30 will average a 1-year life per charge in the various units of the plant, whereas XR1023 has averaged 2 years per charge over the past decade. The shorter life of GR30 may result from our lack of plant experience with it and from its accelerated degradation by chlorine contamination of the hydraulic system. We are still projecting then that XR1023 will cost less and last longer per plant charge. This is a much nicer revision. Note that to make a topic sentence, whoever revised this paragraph, this was not me who revised this paragraph because I know nothing about oil, by the way. The person who revised this paragraph combined the first 2 sentences of this weak draft, and that helped give a clearer overview for the paragraph. Reordered a couple things, combined them. The original topic sentence, the main operating cost is hydraulic oil replacement, is actually, it's subordinated. It comes after this conjunctive adverb right there because this is a subordinated clause. It's subordinated to a new main clause, one which is originally, if you look, sentence 3. So they took sentence 3, which seems to have some kind of argument, combined it with sentence 1, and that is now the new topic sentence. This new clause, it draws out the primary subjects being discussed, which is oil, cost, and life. That's what this writer really wanted to talk about. So that's why it's put in the main clause. So the new topic sentence effectively focuses the paragraph, provides context for all of these supporting sentences. The author can now line up all of these supporting sentences. Note that the pattern of subjects and verbs emphasizes a comparison and contrast between the GR30 and XR1023. That's what the writer really wanted to do in this first one, is to compare these two. But now the way the sentences are, GR and XR, these are the two, this is how they're different, this is how they're different here, this is what we think about GR30, and this is what we think about XR1023. Nice little kind of conclusion there. So there's kind of comparing the main points right there. And you also see in this new revised paragraph it adds a lot of detail for focus and clarity. Much of the new information was implicit in the first draft, but in the revised version, the author states some key assumptions. Like, in the original paragraph, the hydro plant was nowhere mentioned as the main subject in the discussion, but in the new version, the authors note that their estimations of hydraulic oil life, this is what they're based on, right? The 9-month and 10-month operating periods. They clarify what contamination is, right? Chlorine in the hydraulic system, and then they have their summary statement at the end. This is what the paragraph means, right? We are still projecting this. So the details are made much more explicit, a clear topic sentence that actually makes some kind of argument, and then a nice summary transition sentence there at the end. Okay, so let's see, that's the paragraph. What else? We got paragraph and then sentence. Yeah, a lot of things that we can do at the sentence level that you're going to get some practice with this week. Solving paragraph problems like we saw here, really, you solve paragraph problems by correcting sentence level problems, really. You can vary sentence order, you can modify sentences, and it's limitless how many ways that you can do this. That's one of the great things about writing, and one of the worst things about writing is that you can pretty much do anything.